you hold on a minute for me, please? Thanks for starting the recording, Claudine. Okay, Amber, how are things going? Is it just me and you again today?
I think so, yes. Things are
Oh
going
dear.
good. I
Oh, great.
submitted my
Yeah.
second assignment for another subject another module that I
Okay.
have.
Yes.
Actually submitted two assignments today. So
Mm.
that's very, very huge weight off my shoulders. And then I also saw in the English, the ENG 1503 site, there was a additional resource that says about the format of your assignments, that they prefer the font type and the spacing.
Oh,
So
okay. All right.
yeah, so I just fixed that as well.
And resubmitted your assignment.
Yes, yes.
Okay, excellent. That's great. Okay. Um, Tell me, did you receive notification of the extension?
For the ENG, the 1503, that's due the 4th of September.
Mm, mm.
Yes, I received that notification.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's great. So, have you submitted your that assignment already?
Yes, I did.
Mm, okay, all right. So I wonder where's everybody else? Um, let's just see who else will join. Okay. So Amber, do you have any questions that you'd like to ask? Any comments?
I don't think I have any questions at the moment, but if I do, I'll just let you
Okay, let's
know.
stop there. All right. Okay, so as you know, the session's being recorded, so I'm just going to open up the presentation that I prepared for today.
Okay.
Are you seeing this?
Yes, I can see that.
Okay, great. All right. So I'm just checking that I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, so here we go. All right, so it's our second workshop, and just for our normal housekeeping, we need to make sure that we mute our microphones and keep our cameras off, just so that it's easy for us to for the connection to be at its best. Use the chat function, and any technical issues, please email ctntut@unisa.ac.za. And then the ENG 1503 resources are available online. The sessions are recorded so that we can make these recordings available after the session. The presentations are also adjusted and adapted by me. And then I upload the presentations, especially if sometimes in the presentation there's something that you'd like to revisit in your own time after the session. I also sometimes upload notes. I'm not sure where you would find the evaluation form, and maybe Claudine, if you don't mind, if you can maybe help us out with the evaluation form, just to tell us where to find it. And then Amber, did you fill out the registration? Did you put your, why don't you put your student number in the chat, please?
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
Thank you. So I just want to find out from you, Amber, how did you come into the meeting? Like, how did you navigate to get here? What did you do to get to the meeting?
I went on the Western Cape region site and then from the MyUnisa.
From MyUnisa. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
I did it,
and then
I opened up my app that I have on my desktop.
okay. All right. Okay. All right. So you went to the schedule, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. And then you clicked on the join button or the join meeting button in the schedule.
Yes, the join
Okay.
session option.
Yes. Okay, great. Okay, because that's the right way to do it. Okay, that's excellent. All right. So, a student has just contacted me. Oh, here we go. Mpumelelo, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. I was just typing a response back to you now to say that to reply to your question, and here you are. Hi. Can I ask you to can you see the chat? Mpumelelo? I think she's gone. Okay, hopefully she'll come back in. Okay, so let's carry on. So, Amber, you would have seen that in that same place where it went join session, there's also a button that says recordings and notes. Do you see that? Did you
There
see that?
wasn't an option for recordings, but there was just another button that said notes.
Okay, all right, that's fine, because that's where what you will click to get the PDF copies of the presentation as and when I upload them. And then I think what you need to do is scroll down to see the recordings. Scroll down on the page. You know, you'll see the schedule for the week, but scroll further than that. And then below that whole schedule for the week, you might see the
recording.
The recording, yes. Because I had a look at it earlier, and our recording was there of Tuesday. It was there. Okay. All right. So let's do this. I don't know where Mpumelelo disappeared to. I think it might have been a bit noisy where she was. All right. So again, here all the details. Take that out of the way. There we go. All the details for contact details, CT and TUT for your assignment drafts. Amber, I will send yours to you by tomorrow. Okay, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And then if you're wanting to talk to me or chat with me, use the Teams chat or call functions to have a conversation with me. In fact, what I'll possibly do is I might call you, but I'll text you in Teams first to let you
Okay.
know that, or I'll mail you and I'll say to you, okay, let's talk on Teams. Okay,
Okay.
I'll mail your assignment back to you and then say, okay, let's talk on Teams, and then we can go through it together, because then we can share
Okay.
screens and all that kind of thing, and it's really great.
Okay.
We're
Thank
both,
you.
literally on the same page. So today,
Yes.
so today, what we're going to be focusing on is, what are the features of academic writing, the importance of assignments, and then how to make sense of the assignment questions. That's what we're doing. I don't know why I've got that slide twice. So what do you understand academic writing to mean? I mean, you don't have to type it in the box. You can just tell me, because it's just me and you. So what do you understand this to mean?
Honestly, I haven't really heard of that before.
Academic
But
writing?
yes, but
Mm.
it's just,
So it's something that's new to you. So what do you think it
yes, it's a
might be?
bit new.
What do you think it might be?
I think it's the way in which you write.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the like how clear you are when writing your what you suppose. Say example, your a point that you want to get across. How clear you are and how it's structured.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that's what it's about.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, you're definitely on the right track, my dear. Um, and so, yeah, academic writing is, it's one of the ways in which we do what we do in our discipline and at university.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's the way in which we produce writing. So you are required to produce, or rather, at university, you produce writing to do the following: to discuss and explore ideas and topics, to argue a case, to prove that you can think about and apply what you've learned, to show how your mind works, how much you know, and what you think and feel about a particular topic or about particular topics. And I found that lovely little explanation on Shirley Taylor's blog. And so our writing at university is for a very specific purpose, and we do that in a particular way. And essentially, schools and colleges and universities, they exist to share knowledge and to help students do the same. So ultimately, what you're doing is you have to write to impress. Okay? So when you are discussing and exploring your ideas and a specific topic through writing, when you are arguing, when you're putting forward an argument, when you are showing how your mind works, how much you know about an issue or about a subject because you've gone and studied it, okay, because you studied the learned study material, the textbook, the study guide, and all that kind of thing. You are writing to impress. And who are you writing to impress, Amber, do you think? Who do you have
I
to impress with the way that you write at university?
the lecturers or
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's your lecturers that you are writing to impress. You're wanting to impress them with the fact that you have learned how to write about about the subject matter. So what is it that you said you registered for again, Amber?
psychology,
Yeah. Okay.
clinical psychology.
Okay. What level is it? Is it a diploma? Is it a degree? Is it a
For bachelor's degree.
Okay, so it's a bachelor's in clinical psychology.
Yes.
All right, that's fantastic. Oh my word, I majored in psychology many, many years ago, and I left it way behind me. So
But I've always
Hmm?
wanted, I've
You always
always
wanted,
wanted
yeah?
to work with children in a way where I can really help because when I
Okay.
was younger, I've seen a psychologist and I've been through
Okay.
like things. So I would really
Yes.
want to try and help kids that are going or might be going through what I went through. So
Okay.
that's my
Yes.
main
Yeah,
reason for
your
what I
motivation for.
chose. Yes.
So you're going to be focusing on child psychology.
Yes.
Okay, all right. And it's a bachelor's in clinical psychology. That's wonderful. Really wonderful. And I wish you
Thank you.
all of the best.
Thank you so
It's going to
much.
be an interesting experience for you, especially since it's distance learning. So
Yes.
think about it. You having to write to impress your lecturers who
Mhm.
are academics in the field of psychology. Are you following?
Can
Okay.
you maybe rephrase for me, please?
Yes, sure. So remember, we're talking about when you produce writing at university, you are producing writing to discuss and explore ideas and topics. And let's make it about you in psychology. Okay, you
Okay.
in your first year. So you're doing very general, you're doing all the theories of psychology, you're learning about who were the people again, what were their names? Freud
Oh,
and Jung
Freud
and yes. Okay, so
and
all the theories,
Bandura.
and all the different approaches to psychology. So you're doing like the foundational stuff that you need to know about
Yes.
psychology before you move on into clinical psychology.
Yes.
Okay, because you get different types. There's behavioral and counseling and all the different kinds of approaches, right? So you have to impress your lecturers that you, with your ability to discuss who Freud is, who Jung is, what their theories are, who Skinner was, and why Skinner is so important to this field of psychology. So you've got to prove to them that you can think about these things and apply what you've learned. You've got to show your lecturers that this is how my mind works, this is how much I've learned, and this is what I think and feel about these topics that you're wanting me to write about. So does it make sense when I say that you are writing to impress them?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're actually doing is you are developing your scholarship within your discipline, which is psychology, and within the academy, and you fall into the Academy of Humanities. Um, And so what you do is you take your abilities of reading and writing and you adapt it and you adjust it to align with the requirements of your discipline and your academy. So you're going to find, so this course is called Academic English Reading and Writing Across the, the textbook is called Reading and Writing Across the Disciplines, right? So it's not so much about English, if you know what I'm saying. It's not.
Yes.
So you are expressing yourself using the English language. But if you were registered at a university in France, you would be expressing your ideas in French. Not so. The same,
Sorry, Len. Let me
yes.
just I just wanna ask my parents just to quiet down a little. Just give me a second, please.
Okay, sure. All right.
Thank
Sorry, may I just ask a question?
Yes, sure. Mpumelelo, is that you? Welcome.
Yes, me. Sorry,
Hi, hi. Are you here? I was just about to post a question to you now to say, where are you?
I,
But that's fine because I'm looking at my cell phone because I've got Teams on my phone and I've got it on my laptop. So what's your question? Go for it, Mpumelelo. I'm so excited to hear you.
okay, I just want to know if this session will be recorded.
It is being recorded, yes.
Where will I get it? On the Microsoft Teams app?
So you know how you came into the team? You know how I've gave you that link to get to join the session?
Yes.
It's on that same page. You just need to scroll down a little bit more, I think, to it's to recordings and resources and notes, and you'll find it there.
Okay. Thank you.
So I wanted to also just answer your question. You asked me while I've got you, and she's not back yet. You said the one-on-ones, is it specific to assignments and other related ENG inquiries? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm available on Fridays, Mpumelelo, from
Yes.
9:30 to 11:30. So you can contact me via Teams on the chat, or you can even call me on the chat on the Teams. Okay, it
Okay.
works like WhatsApp. And then we can have a one-on-one conversation. So tomorrow between 9:30 and 11:30, or if you can't make it in the morning, in the afternoon on Fridays, I'm available from 2 till 4.
Okay, thank you.
I'm also available on a Wednesday from 1 till 3. Okay, so if you can't stay for the duration of tonight's session, then you can watch the recording, and my times will be on the slide in that recording also. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Hello, Amber, you're back. Excellent.
I am
Okay.
back, yes.
Yes. All right. So, Mpumelelo, have you been following what we're talking about? I didn't realize that you had joined, and have you been following?
I kind of got like the end part of what you were saying. I didn't really get the whole thing because I was having problems with connecting.
Oh, I see. Okay, all right. So we're talking about academic writing, and how academic writing is the kind of writing that you produce at university to discuss and explore ideas and topics, to argue a case, to prove that you can think about and apply what you've learned, to show how your mind works, how much you know, and what you think and feel about a particular topic. And who are you impressing? You're impressing your lecturers. So I was explaining, Amber is registered in a program for Bachelor of Arts in Clinical Psychology. And so I was using her qualification, or rather explaining to her how she has to write to impress the lecturers with her knowledge that she's acquired through studying about the different theories of psychology, approaches to psychology, who the big names are, who are the influential people in the development of the field of psychology. She must show off her ability. And so this is why you have to write in a very particular way at university. So let me ask you, Mpumelelo, what are you registered for?
I'm registered for life and environmental studies, but after this qualification, I'm going to register for psychology.
Okay, so it's life and
environmental studies.
Okay.
Environmental science. Sorry, environmental science.
Okay, all right. And what level is it at? Is it a diploma, higher certificate? Higher certificate. Okay, all right. So you, in your instance, name some of the subjects that some of the modules other than this one that you registered for, Mpumelelo.
Formal science.
Yeah.
Are you writing them down? Yeah, it's informal science.
Yeah, formal science.
Biology.
Yeah, okay.
And basic maths.
Okay, all right. And then what are some of the other subjects that you must now still do?
I must now still do. Oh, I'm not really quite sure, but I think it's 5 of them.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's fine. I'm just wanting to get a sense of what what the kinds of subjects are, so that I can explain to you who you have to impress at university with your discussion and exploration of ideas and topics in biology, in the sciences. Can you argue a case? Can you prove to the lecturers that you can think about biology in a particular way, that you have learned what has been taught in your subject called biology? Can you let your lecturers see in your writing how much you know and what you think and feel about a certain topic in biology? So essentially, you learning this module, its job is to teach you to write to impress your lecturers. And that's what academic writing is essentially. Okay. Where you take the reading and the writing that you have, and you adapt it and adjust it to the discipline that you registered in. Now, this is a very general course. It's not going to be subject specific because it's writing across the disciplines. So some of the principles that you are going to be learning in this module are very general, broad, and they're applicable to psychology, life and environmental science, public relations, all the different disciplines and that you would find at university. So some of the features of academic writing, and I'm here, I took this straight from your TB, stands for textbook, all right? So on pages 70 to 96 in your textbook, there's an entire chapter on the features of academic writing. So academic writing is it is a genre. Genre is just another word for type. Okay, it's a type of writing. It's a way in which we write. And if you want to read more about genre, make a note of page 78 in your study guide, because there it will explain a lot more. And there are other bits in your study guide that discusses genre. All right. I'm going to, let me find my mouse. I'm going to show you a video about academic writing. I better just stop sharing my screen. And let me find it quickly. I just want to open up the video. It's a very short video. It's simply called What is Academic Writing? And it's about a 3-minute video. Let's find it. I just need to share my screen with you again. Here we go. Can you see this?
Yes.
Great. All right. So it's a short video, and then we can talk about it afterwards if you have any questions. All right. Just a very brief introduction to what is academic writing.
General features of academic writing that you need to be familiar with if you want to succeed in your own writing at university. First of all, you need to consider that writing is communicative. In all forms of communication, there is a sender who transmits a message to a receiver. In academic writing, that message will be a fact-based argument, and in order to successfully deliver this, you need to know who you're writing for and what you can expect your target reader to already know. In other words, identifying your audience is crucial. Another central feature of academic writing is that it's subjective, which means you should avoid biased language and generalizations, and that you shouldn't bring in your personal preconceptions or opinions. An academic essay about, say, a fictional character, a political conflict, or a religious issue should present an argument that sheds light on the actual topic, but mustn't be a subjective statement on the part of the writer. Academic writing is a formal genre, and you are expected to use a rather strict register and format. This can be a challenge, especially for non-native writers, as different levels of formality might be difficult to recognise in a second language. Remember, the question of style and register in writing is not necessarily a difference between what is right or wrong language-wise, but rather specifies what is the preferred style for a specific occasion. In other words, what is right in one context may not be considered okay in another. Just as you wouldn't wear flip-flops to a formal dinner, you don't use the informal style of text messages between friends in a job application or a university essay. But how do you go about finding the right level of formality for writing at university then? Well, one way is to study texts within your specific discipline. As a university student, your university library resources, books as well as journals, and perhaps also student papers and degree projects written at your department. Read texts within your discipline to learn how scholars and experienced students write. Look for things like how they introduce their argument, how they define and use discipline-specific terms, and how they make use of previous research within the field. The last thing I'd like to raise here is the fact that writing practices do vary from one academic discipline to the next. This means that you need to learn what is expected of you for the particular text that you are writing. An article in physics looks very different from one in history, for instance. If you transfer from one discipline to another, you'll notice that although the basics remain the same, the way that texts are written when it comes to referencing and text structure, for instance, may differ.
Okay. So how was that? Any comments? Any feedback?
For me, it was more or less more of what you said or explained before the video started about what actually academic English is about and how what it requires of you, right? So what I want to know is, does it really help with referencing? Because I'm having a hard time referencing for the assignment that I wrote for the English.
Yeah, referencing is really important, Mpumelelo. In fact, it is one of the features of academic writing. It's one of the characteristics that makes it different from other kinds of writing. So in academic writing, what we do is we often we refer to other people's writings and research that they have done in order to support our ideas on a particular topic or discussion. And so referencing is incredibly important. And it's a good question. And I'm not sure if you have your study guide. Let me just see. Does your study guide talk about referencing at all?
Yes, it does, I think.
Yeah, on page 68. Yes, on page 68. Okay, so when you say for an assignment, which one for English? Or are you talking about ENG1503?
Yes.
Talking about this one. Okay, all right. So which assignment specifically are you referring to?
The first one. What I wanted to know is, for me, I didn't really have a lot of references. I kind of like had probably like 5. But when I check the examples of the previous assignments of other students, they have a lot of references. So I just wanted to know, does it matter how many references did you find, or do you have?
Okay, so I want you just to take a step back. So first question is, where did you get the assignments from? How did you access the assignments of former students?
On Telegram. For first semester.
Okay.
First
All right.
semester,
Okay.
they tell us
Yeah.
that this is what they did wrong, so we
Mm,
must kind of like fix that so that we may
mm,
have better understanding and gain a good mark.
Okay. All right. Now, two things. Assignment 1 requires referencing yes. Okay. And we're going to go into the questions of assignment 1 in great detail
Mm-hmm.
later. But what you were probably looking at were the second assignment, which is your essay, which requires a minimum of 5 references. That's possibly what you were seeing and what they were talking about. Because, and the reason I'm making that assumption is that assignment 1, you can't have 5 references for one answer because you are limited to a paragraph of 100 words for each
Mm-hmm.
answer. So it's impossible to have 5 references in 100 words. Do you hear what I'm saying? Does it make sense? So this is
Yeah.
why I'm saying it's possible you were seeing the second assignment, which is the essay, which you're still coming to, which is only due next month, where you have to write 500 words, and it's a research-based essay with at least 5 academically valid references or sources of information. Does it make sense? So don't get too stressed out about the number of references. 100 words doesn't allow you to have maybe even more than one reference, because number of words includes the in-text citations of your referencing. So maybe let me go back to the presentation, and then I'll just show you what I'm talking about. What I did was I scanned a section from your textbook, which I'll show you. It's on the next slide. I'll show you in a minute. And if you have the textbook, Amber, I know you said you had a textbook. Do you have a textbook, Mpumelelo?
The study guide or the prescribed book.
The prescribed textbook.
Okay, let me just get to it.
Yeah, so if you have it in front of you, because I'm worried that the scan document may not be, the quality on the screen may not be great. So, but anyway, so we're talking about academic style, and essentially what I did was I just summarized into 1 or 2 slides what is contained on pages 70 to 96 of your prescribed textbook. Okay, so when we're talking about, and I'm looking at page 72 now, when we're talking about academic style, remember in the video, the presenter spoke about how you won't wear slops to a formal occasion, and how you wouldn't wear a ball gown to the beach because the style is not appropriate. It's not wrong, it's just inappropriate. So when we talk about academic style, we are talking about the language we use when we write. So we've got to use formal vocabulary when we're writing at university. We have to use the passive voice. And I'm just going to page through the textbook. So for the formal vocabulary, you will find pages 72 and 73, 74. Then passive voice, you'll find on page 75. Remember at school you learned about active and passive voice? Do you recall that? Yeah, okay. Then something called cautious language is used when we are when we writing at university. And the reason we use cautious language is that you need to be careful about making sweeping statements about something. Okay, we need to be careful. So we would use words such as might be. It is possible that this could happen, because we haven't gone out into the field and done research to prove that this actually exists. We are hedging, we are speculating that it is possible that something might take place. So it is possible that that the vaccine for the COVID-19 virus at this point in time, at this stage of the virus and at this stage of the research, it is possible that the virus will
Might.
work, might work. Yes. So the word like might is an example of using cautious language, because we don't know, it hasn't been proven yet. So when you are writing in the same way, you have to use cautious language. All right. You need to write objectively. Don't use contracted forms. At the bottom of page 80, it says contracted words such as don't, can't, shouldn't are informal and should not normally be used when writing in an academic context. And so we also use statements. We very seldom use questions, and that you'll find on page 80 also. So I'm just going into it very briefly because I don't have time to go into the details. You can go and read up and do those examples for yourself. And if you have questions about it, you can send me a question on the Teams chat, or you can give me a call on the Teams and we can talk about it. All right. So I scanned this copy because I wasn't sure how many people were going to come into the session today, and I thought it'll just be easier if people can see it on a screen. So it's from page 80.
Yes.
Is it from page 80? Yeah, it's from page 80 in your...
Emotive language. That's where it begins. Page
Yeah,
80.
no, I've made a mistake. It's actually not page 80, it's page 72. My apologies. It's actually activity 6.1, identifying formality. So if you look at those three extracts there, or excerpts, 1, 2, and 3, can you see what are the differences between them? Just, you don't have to read them word for word, but just cast your eye over the three excerpts and see if you can see what are the differences between, in terms of style. What differences do you see?
The first one may be formal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah. So there's formal, there's formality. Now, how is that formality achieved? How is the writer written? What characteristics of academic writing can be found in that excerpt? There's one in the second line.
I'll try and answer.
Go for it, Amber. Yeah.
The way in which it's structured and the type of the words and the what can I say? You can see when reading it, you can see that it's written for a formal matter. It's not written for someone to just, okay, it's been read and I read it. It has to be read to be understood, and it carries a meaning, or there's a point in it. So I think that's what I see when I read that one.
Okay. But don't you see the same in excerpt 2?
No?
Isn't there the same meaning and point to it in number 2, which says, question for you, who ate my pizza? See you later. And then, what is that, a heart?
Sorry, I honestly didn't know that see you later was actually see you later. I was trying to figure out.
Oh, my word.
Because
goodness me, Amber, you can't be older than me, hey?
No, but I don't chat that way to
Okay.
whoever.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Look, I think it's if you look at the year that it's taken from, it's 2008. It's a
okay,
really
wow.
old quotation.
Yes.
Pumelelo, how's it going there? You all right? Okay, I don't know where Pumelelo has gone. Okay, so essentially what you're looking at, if you look at excerpt 1, a clear example of academic writing. One of the features that you find there is referencing. Do you see there? It says described by Ivanich and Simpson, and you see the year and the page number in brackets.
Yes.
Okay, and there is a is it a quotation? Yes, it's a quotation from Ivanich and Simpson, who wrote this in 1992, and you can find it on page 146 of their writing. So the fact that it has referencing in there is the first clue that they are quoting Ivanich and Simpson. Is the first clue that this is academic writing, in comparison to excerpt 2, which is text speak, all right, because of the abbreviated forms. If you look at excerpt 3, how do we know that it is informal? Look at the words, look at the contractions. Do you see the question, the use of questioning? That tells us that it's informal, and this is what we don't use in academic writing. Making sense?
Yes, it is.
I just want to see, is Amber still with, not Amber, is Mpumelelo still with us?
I
No, I
don't see her
think she's
screen,
gone.
so I think,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think
I
she's,
think she might disconnect it or something.
okay, yeah, all right, okay. Okay, so let's go ahead then. Okay, so one of the other features of, or rather, so we've spoken about academic style, which is the one feature. Then the second feature of academic writing is writing critically. So again, I've just summarized what I found on page 81 of your textbook. And on page 82, there is a breakdown of the differences between the two extracts on page 80, extract A and extract B. And so I've just summarized for you what we mean by critical writing. So the first sentence always introduces the topic of a paragraph. We leave irrelevant detail out. We use references to support our own point, we the writer, our point. We link ideas from different sources of information so as to strengthen our argument or our point of view. And you're going to have to do that in assignment 2. And you will be doing that in question 3 and 4 of, and 5 even, of assignment 1. Referencing is really, really important. And the way in which you reference is also important. And I will talk about, I think I better talk about referencing and how to reference on Monday. Because, and I'll do in-text citations and I'll do the reference list. Because it has to be done in a very specific way. And remember, you are writing to impress your lecturers who are experts in their field. And you want them to pay attention to what you are saying. So one of the ways in which they will accept your point of view or pay attention to your point of view is when you quote other experts in the field, and that your quotations or your summarizing or your drawing on those experts' ideas, that you reference those people's ideas correctly. So referencing is a very, very big feature of academic writing. And I can talk for 2 hours about referencing. And we'll spend more time on that when we start talking about the assignment 2, which I'll start. When is the 4th, Amber? Where's my calendar? Oh, it is Friday. So we'll have to, we can start talking about assignment 2 maybe on Friday, because the 18th is 2 weeks after that. And you want to make sure, I doubt that they will extend the second assignment's date. And then we have to write in paragraphs. And again, Amber, I suggest that you spend time looking at your textbook, looking at the different types of paragraphs and how we develop our paragraphs in academic writing. It's very, very structured. It's very specific. And initially, it is overwhelming to write in that particular way because it's something that we are not familiar with. But once it clicks into place and you get it, then it's something that will stay with you for as long as you are within academia. Because I promise you, going through clinical psychology, you might want to do your honors and your masters, which you will have to probably do if you're wanting to practice. You are going to have to write essays. You might want to do your doctorate. You're going to have to write essays. And so being exposed to the basics, which is you being exposed to the basics these days in this course, this module, really important. Okay, so for assignment 1, it was no more than 100 words. So that becomes really challenging when we do assignment 1. So very quickly, the importance of assignments. You know that they are compulsory. They give you access to the exams. The marks are used to determine a semester mark. You'll see that in tutorial letter. TL stands for tutorial letter, on page 7. But its purpose is it gives you an opportunity to practice some of these new skills that you are acquiring. It also is an opportunity for you to receive feedback from the lecturers in the form of a tutorial letter. Sometimes you're lucky if the person who marks your assignment actually gives you feedback on your assignment. Some do and some don't. And then the exam is really the opportunity, the exam is the opportunity that you have to implement what you've learned and to impress the reader and to really impress the marker and the lecturers. So I just want to stop sharing because that bar was getting in the way there. Oh, I see Mpumelela's back. Hello, you're back. Do you have any comments or questions on that? Before we go to, okay. Okay, so shall we go on to talking about the 4-step process that I want to share with you to answer and analyze any assignment questions. So while this is going to be useful for assignment 1 for ENG1503, you can use the same process for any of your assignments. Okay. So the first step in the process of analysis is you need to identify a number of things. Okay. So the first thing that you've got to identify is what are the key words relating to the information or the content of my answer. So in other words, what must my answer be about? What am I going to write about in my answer? Okay. The second step in the process is what are the words in the question that tell me what I have to do with that information? So in other words, what are the task words or the instruction words that in the question? Now, in your textbook, again, on page I had it earlier on. Here we go. It's on page 190 in your prescribed textbook. There's a list of verbs in that table on page 190. Words like describe, discuss, review, narrate, etc., explain, analyze, compare, contrast, explain causes, explain effects, illustrate, summarize. Those are what we call task words or instructional key verbs, doing words. So you're going to have to write about some kind of information in a very particular way. And it is that task word or that instructional key verb that tells you what to do with that information. Okay? So the third step then in the process is what are the specific requirements and restrictions of this assignment question? And finally, what are the marks allocated? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you an opportunity to look at the first question. And we're going to follow the 4-step process to analyze the short questions of assignment 1. So I'm going to go back to the process so that you can see it on the screen, and then pull up your tutorial letter and your first question, and let's see how you go with analyzing that first question. So it's on page 15 of, do you have your tutorial letters in front of you?
Yes, I'm just busy opening it up.
Mm-hmm.
May I ask which tutorial letter? The 101?
The 101, yes. The 101, Pumalelo, the one in which your assignments are. And
What
you need to
page
go
must we go to?
page 15, 1-5. Page 15.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question says, read chapter 16 of the prescribed book from page 224 and summarize the developmental stages of religion in your own words. Read chapter 16 of the prescribed book from page 224 and summarize the developmental stages of religion in your own words. So now let's have a look at those 4 steps. So sometimes it's easier to start with step 2 because sometimes they pop out far quicker than number 1 pops out. So what would you say are the words that tell you what task you have to perform? What must you do? What are the instruction words?
You should read the
Yes.
chapter first and then also summarize.
Okay. So thank you, Amber. So your task words or your instructional key verbs, they are read. So what must you read? So now we're going to number 1. What are the keywords relating to the information or content required? So Mpumelelo, what is it saying you have to read? Mpumelelo, are you there? If you're wanting to keep your mic muted, that's fine. You can actually just put your answer in the chat, if you don't mind. Mpumelelo, can I also ask you to put your student number in the chat?
My network is so bad this side.
Oh dear. Okay, all right. Mpumelelo, won't you put your student number in the chat, please?
Okay, it's fine.
And then also, if you want, you can just post your answer in the chat. Then you don't have to unmute your mic. Okay, if you're finding the network is bad on your side.
And I have to like multitask because I have a
Oh,
soft copy tutorial letter. I don't get the hard copy of it.
okay, all right. Okay, all right.
Just
I understand. It's tough. Okay, so what are the specific requirements and restrictions of this question then?
I think it's this when they're asked to summarize the developmental stages
Mm,
in your own words of religion
mm-hmm,
in your own words.
mm-hmm.
I think that's the answer to that.
Okay, but there's more to it than that, because when we talk about specific requirements and restrictions, we need to look at the instructions for the assignment. Because don't the instructions for the assignment say on page 14, answer the following questions in short paragraphs of not more than 100 words each, unless otherwise stated. Do not quote directly from the text unless you are instructed to do so. So that's very specific, and you are restricted to 100 words. You can't exceed 100 words, okay? Don't even try. And I promise you, you will be marked down so badly if you are going to exceed the 100 words. Don't think, it's 50 more words is okay. You are halfway to 200 words. So what they do is they will only mark the first 100 words. And then on the content side of your answer, you're going to be marked down because you may not have completely answered the question in the first part of
That is sorry,
yeah.
that's really tough for some people. Especially for me
Yes.
when I was busy trying to
Mm,
just have 100 words. It was really
mm,
tough to keep it short and not go
mm,
over that limit. Because
mm,
hearing that you can actually get marked down and that
mhm.
will only mark the first 100 is it's crazy.
Mm. So I suggest that even if you've submitted already, it's possible. It is possible to answer the question in less in no more than 100 words. Um, they're not saying, you know, in academic writing, the little words, the small words like no more than, or what's the other one? A minimum of, or words like at least. Those words are very important because words like, if they were to say to you, short paragraphs of at least 100 words, then it meant that your minimum number of words would have been 100 and you could have written more than 100. Do you understand what I'm saying? But here
Yes, I
they say
understand.
not more than 100 words. So you are severely restricted. You can't
To
exceed
that
100
100,
words.
yeah.
You
Mm,
cannot exceed 100 words. And let me tell you, let me show you, if you are quoting, okay, let me just take you back here to this
mhm.
example here. So when you are in questions 3 and 4 and 5, where you can use research-based ideas, which means you can draw on what other people are saying about religion and a counter argument to for number 4, and the same with secularization in a society of your choice. You can go to the research and look to see what they're saying, but words or numbers like 1992, and if you're quoting somebody, for example, then this counts as 2 words, the year and the page number. That's 2 words gone. So if you understand why I was saying to Mpumelelo, why she can't have 5 references in assignment 1,
Yes.
as in 1 paragraph, I mean, because you can quote someone, but then you've got to quote the year and the page number, and the year and the page number counts 2 words already. So you're down to
I would know
98 words.
if you didn't mention that specific thing, I would have thought that the that is in the bracket, the year and
Mm.
the page number, I would have thought it would have counted as 1 word, only because
It's
say
in
it's in a
brackets.
bracket, it would, yeah,
No.
so it's 1
Mm-mm.
thingy, but
Mm-mm.
now I see that it's actually 2.
So it becomes it's a big challenge, and so this assignment is not to be, not to be sniffed at. It's only 5 questions,
Yes.
but remember, this is about academic writing. Not only, so the assignment is about teaching you how to critically read, but it's actually also assessing your ability to write in a particular way. All right. So let's go back to the questions. Okay, so question number 1 says, read chapter 16 of the prescribed book from page 224. Now, this chapter 16 on page 224, just let me, if it is what I'm thinking it is the chapter on summarizing, right? That whole chapter called summarizing. So you had to work through that whole chapter first and understand what a summary is before you could answer that question. So your instruction words are, yes, read, but more importantly, it is summarize. And then you must write that summary in your own words. Okay? But now what must you summarize and what must you write in your own words? You have to find in the article called How Cults Become Religious. Religions, sorry, yeah. You have to find the developmental stages of a religion, find that in the text, and then summarize it, and then make sure that you wrote about it in your own words, in a paragraph of no more than 100 words. Okay. So a summary is simply only the main ideas, no details or descriptions. So for example, if you look at paragraph 2 on page 14 of your tutorial letter, the first sentence is what you have to summarize. If you look at the first sentence is the topic sentence, is the main idea of that whole paragraph. If you read the rest of the paragraph, it's all descriptions and telling you exactly what a cult is.
Yes.
So sentence 1 is actually the first sentence of your summary, but now you've got to write that sentence in your own words. All religions begin as cults. You would ignore the rest of the paragraph. And that's how you work through this article. And if you if you know how a paragraph is laid out, and a paragraph is always laid out that the topic sentence contains the main idea. So if you look in your study guide, and usually that topic sentence is the first sentence in a paragraph. So if you look at your study guide, sorry, not your study, it's called your tutorial letter 501, okay? You'll see on page, I had it earlier. What is a paragraph on page 87? Okay, it gives you a breakdown, page 87 of your tutorial letter 501.
Yeah, found it.
So it has it says at the bottom there, what is a paragraph? So a paragraph has 3 different types of sentences. It has a topic sentence. This is the sentence that tells the reader the theme of the paragraph. It gives the reader a sense of what the paragraph will be about. These sentences are precise and straight to the point. Now, if you read that first sentence of paragraph 2, sociologically, all religions begin as cults. But the word sociologically is describing, it's placing religion within a field of sociology. And so it's not relevant. It's details about religions that we don't, that's not necessary for the main idea. Does that make sense, Amber? So that's
Yes,
why
I'm with you.
you can actually leave that word out, right? So then it goes on page 87, it says supporting sentences. These are a group of sentences that explain the topic sentence. They elaborate. The word elaborate means they tell you more about the topic sentence by doing the following: elaborating, definition, description, explanation, research, and so on. So if you read the rest of the sentences in paragraph 2 on page 14, you'll see exactly that. It's telling you more about what a cult is.
Yes,
Does it
yes, I
make
see.
sense? Okay. So that
Yes.
information is then becomes irrelevant to your answer because you're only taking out the main idea from every paragraph. And if you approach that question like that by trying to identify the main idea in each paragraph, then you are on track to putting together your answer. Okay. Do you know what we mean by putting something in your own words?
Yes, you shouldn't use, for example, the writer of this article, John D. You shouldn't use exactly what he says, and unless you're going to cite it properly.
Put it in quotation marks. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So there is a section in your prescribed textbook. I'm just wanting to get to it's under the chapter called the research essay. So, and in that chapter, it talks about the differences on page 168. It talks about what a paraphrase is, what a summary is, what a direct quotation is, and then it gives you examples. So go through that because summarizing, paraphrasing, quotation, very important aspects of academic writing, and you must know how to do it.
Yes.
Okay, well, okay, it's quarter past.
I understand.
Got that, great. Okay, so let's move on then to question 2. So question 2 says, compare and contrast a theocratic government with a democratic government. So again, if we look at the stages, right? What are the key words? What are the task words? So what are the task words? Amber? What are the instructional keywords.
You should compare and contrast.
Okay, and then what are you comparing and contrasting?
The theocratic government and the democratic government.
Okay, all right. So then what your answer must have in it is, how is a theocratic government similar to a democratic government? And how is a theocratic government different from a democratic government? And those answers you will have in the text.
Yes.
And you have to write up the differences and similarities in a single paragraph of no more than 100 words. So you might have 4 sentences, 5 sentences. But what they also want to see from you is they want to see you use very specific vocabulary. Okay, so if you've got your study guide there, go to, not your study guide, your tutorial letter 501, yeah? Is it 501?
Yes.
501. Go to page 37.
37.
Go to page 37.
The comparison and contrast essay.
Yes, okay. Now,
Okay.
just ignore the word essay for now. I want you to look at that example in the block there.
Yes.
Where that is an example of a compare and contrast paragraph. Okay, so if you look at the first sentence, it's your topic sentence. If you look at the rest of the sentences in the middle, it's the supporting sentences. If you look at the last sentence, it's the concluding sentence. Now, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to write a paragraph something like this. But I want you to pay attention to the language of comparison and contrast. Okay? And you're going to find that in your textbook, and you will find it under the chapter called Writing Critically, pages 212 to 216. So if you go to specifically if you look at the table on page 214, okay, it says, if you look at those examples there, in the first box, it says, the Gloucester axis is like, so you can use the word, theocratic government is like a democratic government with regard to whatever. Do you see? Or you can say, a theocratic government resembles a democratic government in terms of, or a theocratic government is similar to a democratic government in that blah, blah, blah. Do you get the idea? Do you see the word, the vocabulary you have to use to let the reader know that you are talking about what is the same?
Yes.
In the same way, or you can use simple sentences like both a theocratic and democratic government, or you can say both theocratic and democratic governments, whatever. Okay, if you look at that second box, or you can use a sentence that says a theocratic government is or has a whatever. Similarly or likewise, a democratic government has blah, blah, blah. If you're wanting to write about differences, if you look at the last two blocks and the other two blocks on page 215 at the top there, it says the Gloucester axis is different from or contrasts with or is unlike. So you're going to use words like a theocratic government is different from or is unlike a democratic government because or as far as or regarding whatever. Okay? Or you
Yeah.
can say
Yes.
the theocratic government is so, whereas a democratic government is like that. So use
Yeah.
those words. What I'm trying to point out to you is use those words, that vocabulary that I'm showing you now in that answer, because that is what they're wanting to see. They're wanting to see that you understand the vocabulary that goes with writing about similarities and differences. In as much as they're wanting to see that you've identified the similarities and the differences in the text. So they're equally important. Does it make sense to you?
Yes. Yes, it
Okay.
does.
Okay. And then of course, tough, put it in one paragraph of no more than 100 words. So it's
Yes, it
it's
is quite a challenge.
it's a challenge. But chances are that there may be just one or two of each, and so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if we have a look at question, I mean, are you finding this useful?
Yes, yes.
Okay. All right. So question 3 says, imagine that you are Emile Durkheim, the sociologist. Write a short argument stating her position on religion. Okay. It's probably...
Sorry, Len, before you continue,
Sure. Go
when
ahead.
when I researched Emil Durkheim, I found out that it's not actually a her.
It's a him. Yes.
Yes, it's a him, so
A
that
him.
was a bit
So don't...
confusing.
Yes, yes. So because I think whoever, I don't know, because I also thought now, but Emile is a name for a male and it is Emily.
Yes.
So anyway, they got that
Mm.
wrong. But that's obviously not of relevance. Well spotted, but it's not
Mm-mm.
of relevance to your answer, right?
No.
So what you have to do is imagine that you are Emile Durkheim and you must... What is your position on religion? Okay. And then they give you
Yes.
a sentence. And so you are pretending to be Emile Durkheim and you're starting off your paragraph of no less than 100 words with the words, religion binds the community together through ritual and tradition.
Yes.
So you must take that idea and then go and find supporting information in the research for that idea. And then you have to reference those ideas accordingly or correctly.
Mm.
Yeah? Okay. And
Yes,
when I look at your
understand.
assignment, I'm going to look at that.
Yes, please,
Okay.
because I did have quite a hard time with question 3 and 4
Mm.
because I wasn't really faced not yet like with that specific type of question, and listening to what you're saying and how it should be answered.
Mm.
I feel that my answer to those questions are quite different to what you're saying,
Mm.
and I
Mm.
think it needs to be changed.
Okay. All right. So if you go back to your textbook, okay,
Mm-hmm.
on page 216, there is a section called providing support,
Yes.
providing evidence to support your claim. So you're pretending to be the sociologist And your claim is that religion binds the community together through ritual and tradition. Now you have to provide evidence for this claim, for your claim to be persuasive, to be accepted, to be believable. Okay? So if you look
Yes.
on page 219, it says, you are able to provide evidence to support your claims by using research findings, using other people's work. So going to read what other people have said about religion and what it does for ritual and tradition. You can use your own knowledge and you can use other people's words. So in other words, you can
Mm-hmm.
give a quote, okay, by someone.
Yes.
And that might be all you needed to do for that answer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because what they're saying is do not paraphrase or copy directly from the text. They don't want you to use this text that your question is based on as a source of information to support that idea that religion binds the community together through ritual and tradition. They want you to go and
Mm-hmm.
find it somewhere else. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to number 4 because it's a similar question, except that you are writing an opposing argument or a counter argument to what you said in in number 3. So you're given a statement that says, and it's one word that makes the difference. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So it says religion, and it's a terrible sentence actually, religion divides the community. And it shouldn't be apart. It should be religion divides the community through ritual and tradition, not apart. But anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So what you now have to do in exactly the same way as you did with number 3 is you've got to go and find supporting information for you need to go and find evidence to support the claim that religion is divisive.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in the first one, you had to support the claim religion is binding. Does it make
Mm-hmm.
sense? And so you can
Yes, it
find
does.
evidence using findings, research findings. Now, by findings, we're talking about the statistics, the numbers that they came up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it using statistics would actually work in this case. It would be better if you used other people's work. Okay.
Yes.
If you came up with a quote, you used other people's words, or used other people's work. So that's what you had to
Sorry,
do.
Lynn.
Yes, go for it.
Say when you do question 4 and you've done research on the how religion divides the community, and you've read, say for example, there's a 3-page PDF about it. So
Mm,
you've read through that, and with the with your through understanding of that, you answer that question based on what you remember and how and what you've read.
mm-hmm,
Do you write in your own words, and then in your
mm-hmm.
references you just say,
Yes.
for example, the PDF was the religion dividing the community by Lynn Isaacs, and then that's your
Mm,
reference.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. But you have to reference in 2 places. You have
Mm-hmm.
to have a reference list at the end of your assignment, and
Yes.
you have to have what we call in-text referencing. Now, I'm going to take you back to, or maybe I don't have to take you back. If you look at page 219 of your prescribed textbook, Amber, you'll
Mm-hmm.
see, um, if you look at that second block, if you look at the first sentence in the second block, it says, there is a wealth of research to demonstrate that disabled children are more vulnerable to abuse and neglect than their non-disabled peers. And in brackets, Kelly, 1992, and Miller, 2003. Now,
Mm.
in brackets, the information in brackets is the surname of the author and the year in which that Kelly and Miller wrote whatever they wrote that or did that research. Okay?
Yes.
And in brackets, inside your paragraph is called in-text referencing or in-text citation. But
Yes.
you also have to give the full reference as in your reference list at the end of your assignment.
So say what also say you answered the question, but in your own words, and
Yes.
you did not use the in-text referencing.
Mm.
Do you what I'm trying to say is, do you use the in-text referencing when using your own words as well, or only when you directly quote?
You for both. Because the words, the idea, you are referencing the idea because the idea is not your own. Even though you are writing it in the way that you understand that idea, you are still using someone else's idea. So you referencing or you're citing that person's name and when the research was done, so that people remember you wanting to impress, you wanting to leave people in your academic community, you wanting to let them know that you have gone to a respected source to,
Mm.
to show that I know what I'm talking about here. Because, and I've got evidence that it is like that because here's the evidence. Somebody did the research. So even though you're paraphrasing that person's research, you have to cite it also. So you do it for both, whether it is a summary of somebody's research, whether it is a paraphrase, or whether it is a direct quotation. The only difference is going to be if you're doing a direct quotation, then you must always give the page number.
Yes.
Okay, but if it's a paraphrase, then you don't have to give the page number. So you see, these are all the little details that you have to pick up along the way. Then you get different styles of referencing, and you are in psychology. I'm really not sure what reference style your Department of Psychology uses, but I know that for the Department of English Studies, you have to use Harvard style. And I'll talk more about that. I mean, just make a note of it and then remind me to show you what Harvard style looks like if you don't know. Okay. I might just make a point in your assignment when I have a look at it. Any comments or questions, Lydia? Are you okay?
Sorry, my mic. Yes, I'm here. It's not
Okay,
any
all right.
questions. It was all
Okay,
answered.
great.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so let's go on to question number 5. So this one is also interesting because again, you've got to go and do some research. You're given a statement and then you have to describe the causes and effects of secularization based on any society of your choice.
Yes.
So you had to go and look up what is secularization. You had to choose a society, and then you had to go and do research on what causes secularization and what the effects are of secularization. And again, no more than 100 words.
Yes.
So it was a tough ask. And maybe you're just having 2 of each, 2 causes and 2 effects. If you know, even if they do say causes and effects, so I'm assuming they're wanting you to have more than one of each. So to give you an example again from your 501 tutorial letter, you will see an example of a cause and effect paragraph on page 39.
We just get there. Page 39. I'm there. The cause and effect paragraph.
So you see that little block there at the top, but the airport expanding. If the airport expands, that's an example of effects. Okay, all right. And that's taken from your, and do you see how the writers, the authors of your tutorial letter have referenced where they got that paragraph from? Do you see there in italics it says adapted from Gates et al. 2018 in the name of your textbook?
Yes.
So that's very interesting also. Okay, so so go through that for your causes and effects, and let's just see if there's anything in your textbook that's going to help you write about causes and effects. I think is writing about advantages and disadvantages. Comparison and contrast. If you go to the cause and effect essay, you'll find it in your textbook on page, and you see some nice vocabulary there. You will find it on page 106, 116 of your prescribed textbook. And you will find vocabulary, here we go, on page 124. Underneath the heading, the first draft, are some useful expressions that you can use for showing causes and effects.
Okay.
So if you want to start off, you can say the first cause of secularization in whatever society you've chosen is, okay? And then what you can do is, following that sentence, is you can immediately write about the effect of the sentence. So you can then use the words, as a result, this and this and this happens. Then you go to your next sentence and you write about your second cause, and then you can say, consequently or accordingly, to indicate to the reader that you're now writing about the effect of that cause that you just wrote about, that you just described. So it's about structuring your paragraph logically. It's about using vocabulary to signal, to give the reader a signal, a sign that you are writing about a cause and about the effect of something, of secularization in this instance. Okay?
Yep.
So I'm hoping that that's helping you. So let's move on.
It is,
So,
yes, thank you.
You're welcome, my dear. So remember, you produce writing at university to discuss and explore ideas and topics, to argue a case. Now, if you think back to what we've just covered today, do you see how all of this now makes sense? How we come full circle? Okay, you've discussed certain ideas and explored ideas and topics in your questions in this assignment. You've had to argue that religion binds the community. Okay,
Yes.
You have to show in your answers that you can think about these issues and apply what you've learned in the way that you write. You're showing how your mind works. You're showing how much you know and what you think and feel about particular topics. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm just going to show you visually. So don't worry too much about this. I'm going to show you visually what a paraphrase looks like. So this, what you're seeing now, is the original, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the paraphrase. So you'll see if you look at the number of words, the first one, I think it was over 100 words, always, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this version has got fewer words, okay? And so a paraphrase is a rewording of a short section from a text. It's about the same length as the original text. You change the sentence structure and the vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Your first sentence can introduce the paraphrased material. You use reporting verbs like argues, maintains, to frame the ideas from the source of information, and you use in-text citations.
Mm-hmm.
So then, questions 1 and 2 for assignment 1, the answers are in the text. You've just got to paraphrase the sections of the text that help you answer the questions. Whereas questions 3,
Yes.
4, and 5, you have to argue your point of view using different approaches to the information. So in question 3, you have to argue for something, okay? In question 4, you have
Mm-hmm.
to argue, you have to produce a counter argument to what you said previously in number 3. And in number 5, you have to write about causes and effects. So you're using different approaches to the information that you're actually writing about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've come to the end then. And just to refresh, today we were talking about the features of academic writing, the importance of assignments, and understanding how to make sense of your assignment questions so that you can answer the questions to the best of your ability. So what's one
Yes.
thing that you will do differently after today's workshop?
I would
Just one thing.
definitely try and analyze and read to understand my questions much better,
Mm,
so that it can help me answer in the way that the assignment expects me to answer it, and not just read it and then answer.
mm.
Not just take, how can I say, a shortcut to answering the question.
Yes. And so thank you for that. So that 4-step process is a really useful vehicle or mechanism to use for any of your assignment questions that you're busy
Yes.
answering. I mean, I don't know if you've got to write short answers or short paragraphs for your other modules.
Essays and
Okay.
essays and essays.
Okay. So this is a good
Yes.
module for you to be doing so that you know how
Yes.
to write an essay. Okay. For
Yes, it doesn't.
example,
It helps. Sorry, it helps with the rest of the modules that I have as well. So
because
I can use. Yeah, it's
yeah.
okay. You can go on.
No, I was just going to say, so for example, and we're going to talk about this later in future workshops. An introduction is a very specific kind of paragraph. The fact that it's the
Yes.
first paragraph of your essay in its position of your essay doesn't mean that it's actually an introduction. It has
Yes.
to meet very specific requirements in the same way that a body paragraph has to meet very specific requirements, and likewise the conclusion has to meet those requirements. So just a reminder of the contact details there, which you already have and you've made use
Yes.
of. and I'll have a look at your assignment, and then I will
Thank you.
email it back to you and say, okay, look, when do you want for us to discuss it? If you want to have a one-on-one discussion, you can take it from there. And then finally, next session is Monday at the same time, 5 till 7 o'clock. Okay.
Okay, I
And
just want
bring.
to write that down.
Mhm. So it should be posted in that same place where you logged
Also
in.
on the
On the
okay,
schedule,
okay.
yes. So it should appear there. And I did let the admin team know that next week's, okay, he's just come back to say that it's still to be uploaded. It should be uploaded by tomorrow.
Okay, I'll just write it down on my notice board.
Okay, all right. Fantastic. And then let me have a look at your assignment, and then you can decide when it's going to be convenient. It'll probably, if I'm going to look at it in the morning, then it'll probably be in the afternoon that we can talk, if you're wanting to talk, if you've got any questions or queries that you want, if you want things to be clarified. All right.
Yes, I will definitely give you a message or a call to set up a mini meeting for us if I need any
Yes.
assistance. Then, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great, Amber. Thank you so much for attending, and you're getting individual attention. So it's a
Yes, yes, I
pity
am.
for Malelo had to leave, but I think she was struggling with the connection, but she can watch the recording. So, did she put her student number in the, she didn't. Maybe it'll be elsewhere. Anyway, thank you so much. You take care, enjoy the evening, and then we'll talk to each other tomorrow.
Thank you to you too.
Thanks, Amber. Bye-bye.
Okay.